Welcome to cardesign.academy. This is the third in a series on how to set up a vehicle architecture. So we've built a series of tires that we're going to be using for several exterior models, a truck, a crossover, and a sports car. And this is the tire that I built for the crossover in the last video. And what I'm going to do today is show you how to set up the proper set of wheels for a full exterior model. So this is going to have a set of 4 wheels in the correct dimension for a mid-size CUV or crossover. I used the published dimensions from the Range Rover Velar, so that's line 4 here. So I have the wheelbase, I have the tire diameter, tire width, the published tire size, the rim size, all of that already baked into the tire model that I built. So as you remember, I used a website to calculate the tire diameter using the published tire spec, which is a 265/40 R22. So using this website, 265/40 R22, and that gives you a diameter of 30.3 inches, which if you use the conversion of 25.4 millimeters to an inch, you get a rim diameter of 597. Now you do have to add in 1.5 inches of diameter there for the section of the rim. So the rim size is actually measured at the tire, not at the outer lip of the rim, which overlaps it by about 1/2 inch. So you have to add an overall inch and a half to the outside diameter there. So anyway, so in Alias, I'm going to show you how to first of all set up the correct wheelbase, and then to position the tires in the Y dimension to give you the correct track. So as you can see, the way I've built this rim, the face of the tire is actually aligned at the center position. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to select all of these surfaces. I'm going to go ahead and delete construction history, and I'm going to group everything together just to make things a little easier here. And I'm also going to turn off the control vectors, so our geometry is nice and simple. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that, and so just going to look here at the wheelbase once again. It's 2874, 2,874 millimeters. So so I'm going to go into the duplicate window here, duplicate object, and in the X dimension, I'm going to duplicate by 28. I'm going to translate by 2874. Oh, I made a mistake there. Okay, yeah, I've got to go back to 0 on the Y. So I'm going to duplicate that. There we are. So now I have 2 tires in the correct wheelbase. So then we got to take these 2 tires and move them into the outboard position. So as I said before, it's aligned at I've aligned these the face of tire at the center position. So when I go in to add what is the published overall width, 2,032 millimeters, that's just over 2 meters wide. Since I'm translating from a center position, I have to cut that number in half. So I just went ahead and divided that number in half. So it's 1,016. So let's just round it up to an even 1,020. Let's just cheat it out a little bit. So so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate again. This time I'm going to translate in Y by 1,020. Okay, let me do that again because I got to use the negative number instead. So negative 1,020. Very important. Okay, so then I can just go ahead and delete these. And so now I've got 2 tires positioned in the correct outboard position. So what I'm going to do then is just duplicate those 2 tires across the center line, so we have 4 equal wheels and tires. So I'm going to group these together, which is going to create a pivot point back at the 0, 0, 0 center position. I'm going to open up my duplicate window again, and under scaling, I'm going to hit -1. And that's going to give me two tires on the opposite side. So there we have our crossover. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the same with our truck. I'm going to pick all the surfaces, turn off the control points, group everything together, delete construction history. So another way we can do this is we can just simply start by moving this tire out into the Y position. We can do that first. So let's see, what is our overall width? Is 2190. That's quite wide. Divide that in half, it's 1095. So let's just round it up to 1100. So in this, I'm going to try it a different way. I'm going to just use the move function, and I'm going to hit, just type it in the window up here, 0, comma, negative, what was that again? 1100. So 0 and negative 1100, and then comma 0 again. And that just moved it to this outward position. And just delete that curve there. Okay, so so then I can just take this tire and duplicate it again to get the correct wheelbase. So correct wheelbase is 3710. That's quite long, but this is a crew cab pickup truck. So I'm going to duplicate again, and in the dialog box I'm going to type in, I'm going to go back to 1 here, and I'm going to type in 3710. 3710. There we are. I actually think that's a little too long. I think I'm going to go with a slightly shorter wheelbase. So I'm going to go and look up the Ford Raptor wheelbase again. There's two wheelbases. I chose the longer of the two. I'm going to see what the shorter one is. So Ford Raptor dimensions. All right, let's do Wikipedia is a good place to look up dimensions. So according to Wikipedia, there's two wheelbases available. There's 3690 for the Super Crew, which is the four-door truck, and then there's a 3390 for the Super Cab. So I'm going to see what it looks like at 3390. So I'm going to duplicate this again at 3390. Yeah, that's a little better. I want this to have full-size truck dimensions, but be a little bit more compact in the length. So then I'm going to group those together and duplicate those across the center line. So hit -1 on the Y. There we have our truck tires. Okay, so the next one is the sports car. So now in this case we have different size front and rear. So we're going to do this a little bit differently. First of all right, let's group all this together. Delete the construction history. Turn off the controls, and let's look up the width again. So then in this case the overall width is 1933. Divide that by 2 and it becomes 966. Let's just bump that up to an even 1000. So we're gonna actually no, we're just gonna move it. We're gonna move it to 0, comma 1000. Oh, negative 1000. 0. Okay, so the reason that it went off kilter like that is because not all of our objects were in the same pivot. So we have to group these again. So that puts everything at the 0 position. Let's just pick everything, group it together. Why does that one continue to be? Okay, let's just turn the pivots to 0, 0, 0. Okay. Let's move that to 0, comma, negative 1000, comma, 0. Okay, so now we have our front tire where it should be. And if you remember, the rear tire is a different size, so we have a different model for that. So we're going to delete construction history, turn off control vectors, and group. Okay, so now we're just going to move this to a different position. So we're going to move this to wheelbase is 2723, and in one step we can move it to the correct wheelbase and the correct width. So it's 2723 and then negative 1000. So we're going to move it 2723, comma, negative 1000, comma, 0. There we are. Now, also because these are different diameters, we're going to have to adjust the rear tire so that it's sitting level with the front tire. So let's do a quick horizontal line. So I'm just going to draw a perfectly horizontal line and slide it up to line up with the front tire. And you can see the rear tire is hanging slightly lower, so we're going to move that rear tire up just a little bit so it's sitting level. Okay, and then the other thing I want to do is I'm going to actually align the front tire on the inboard edge of the rear tire. So let's group that again. So that the overall width of the rear of the car is wider than the front. Okay, so I can delete that curve, and then I'm going to group these together, and I'm going to duplicate across the center line to get 4 tires. There we are. So now we have a full set of wheels and tires. I'm just going to go ahead and so we have a full set of wheels and tires for our crossover, a full set of wheels and tires for our truck, and a full set of wheels and tires for our sports car. So then the final step is, I'm going to save this. Final step is, what do we do to get this into Gravity Sketch? So Gravity Sketch accepts basically one file format, which is OBJ. So I'm going to select all of the surfaces for the Corvette wheel and tire. I'm going to go Export, Active As, and under the dialog box I'm going to hit OBJ. And under Surface Tessellation, this is very important because it won't come into Gravity Sketch correctly if you don't do this. Under Surface Tessellation, just say Tessellate and save that. And I'm just going to say Corvette wheels. Okay, so that's converted to an OBJ file. Next off, we'll do the CUV. We'll export. Active As, OBJ with Surface Tessellation turned on. Call this CUV wheels. and truck tires. Pick the surfaces, export active as OBJ, truck wheels. Okay, so if everything goes well, once we import into Gravity Sketch, you will be able to build your exterior design off of an accurate set of tires. And once we're in Gravity Sketch, I'll show you how to build the actual design of the rims, which is quite fun. There's quite a bit of functionality within Gravity Sketch to do that. So thanks again for tuning in. At this point, we have just about everything we need now to set up an accurate dimensional model in Gravity Sketch.